Hey guys, it is Will here coming at you with another video. This one's actually a very special one, as a request from a friend of ours, if you've seen on the channel before. But they suggested that I do a video review on these because I haven't done it on my channel before. And these are models that you usually only buy one of, especially for bolt action. So it's an opportunity I was going to take, and he asked if I could build them also. So I like building the models, so I'm going to build them, and we're going to see the difference. So without further ado, we are going to take a look at today sorry about trying to get stuff in the camera here. I'm taking a look at these two. The Tiger 1 from Warlord Games. This is their plastic version. And the same version from Rubicon. So, taking a look at the back, just as you've seen before from my many Rubicon videos and Warlord. The Warlord one here, as you guys can see, has, you know, pictures of the stuff on the back here, transfers, detail about some stuff, the data cards here plus the transfers, quick information. One from Rubicon. Same idea, we have a lot more information on the back, definitely a lot more detailed than Warlord information, because this is a model that's designed to be a scale model, but in a way that it's built like a playing model. So you build it like a Warhammer model, but it has the detail and properties of a scale model. And there's a difference between those two, which I'll go over someday if you guys want, or in that instruction video I'm making, I'll do that. But we also have the transfer sheets here, and some painting guides. And we have the side. And here we have the side with when this is playable, as you can kind of see hopefully. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the Tiger one here. So quickly opening that. Depending on where you buy this from, who you own this from, there could be wrapping around this. Really depends. If you order it from the Warlord website, I've had these come not wrapped. When I order it from my local game store, they personally wrap them themselves, or they get them wrapped. So there's that. Keep in mind. Now this is one of the Italieri models. So again, you can I'll show you how you can tell the difference. Usually, the majority of you can tell if it's a Italieri kit is you'll get one of these in it, which has an ad for both sides on it. It'd be kind of cool to get this sprue actually if they sold this as a collectible. That'd be kind of cool. I would like that. I would find it neat. Then starting off with contents, we have, so you have this sheet here that basically tells you how to build it. There you go. Very simple to build, as you can see from there. And on top of that we have the screws. Then you have your sheet there. And stuck inside the box actually, we have the data card with the transfers. For those who may have not seen it, it's in the core rulebook, so it's not a spoiler for showing you the rules. So we have our regular and our veteran. The people who drove these weren't inexperienced because they had like advanced Tiger crews were given these sort of things, or there's heavier training. Some rules and little information about what it has. I've watched a Katusha take this out. It is not fun. So how you can tell this is an Italieri kit over a Warlord Games kit, model, whatever you want to call it, it's two ways. Three depending on the situation and how new the model is. But definitely these two. One is the sprue itself. So on a Italieri kit, these sprues are going to be, focus. On an Italieri kit, these sprues are going to be rounded, so like circular, which is great because you cut these out to use them as flag poles. You can use them as spare barrels if you have a tank that has an upgrade on it to get a bigger gun, or if, like I did with that one Marine Corps, how I had that missing mortar tube. I used it for that. The other way to tell on the sprue is these number gates here. This is something that Italieri started and Warlord has tried sometimes, but mostly on the Italieri kits. And then lastly is the plastic. As you can see here, it's this nice dark gray blackish color. It's a really nice color. And kind of like on here too, how the gates are thin and flat. So that's the way to tell the difference between the two. If you didn't have any of the papers, you just had the sprues. But as you can see here, we have two of them. You have the one with your tracks, your exhausts, your wheels, exhaust covers, some panels, your turret. Then on this one, you have the bottom hull, back, top hull, your wheels. Now the Tamiya one is pink, so you had to build all these manually. Axle for something. For the gun. For the gun. The ring mounted MMG. And little parts, and of course the big old gun there. So that was the Tiger 1, looking at it from Warlord Games. Now we're going to get into the Rubicon version of this. Now this is a bigger box by a lot, and there is some bags. So opening this up here, again, this one did come wrapped, but it's from a store, so I don't know if it was wrapped or not. The ones I got before from Rubicon were wrapped directly from them, so I'm guessing it's them. Anyways, we open this up and you can see there's stuff falling out of it like crazy already. There's nothing inside. So looking at this, we have the instruction booklet showing you all the parts that come in here. And again, if you want us to know more about these instruction manuals, please check out my Rubicon review videos. I won't go into this instruction manual for that. We got transfers, then we have all the sprues individually wrapped. Again, that's sort of like it's very similar, you know, scale model style. It looks like we have multiple turret versions with easy to build hull. So I'm going to open these up and we will take a look at the sprues. But there's multiple sprues with multiple different tracks. We'll take a quick look and see why there's the differences. Okay guys, so I'm back. I have these unpacked. There's 4 sprues. Took a look at why there's the bits that there is, and this can make all versions of the Tiger 1 basically. That I'm aware of. I could be wrong, there could be some weird niche ones, but for the most part, the main versions, it can make all of them. So we'll go over the parts that I've searched up / read in the instruction book about what they are, and we'll explain the parts to you guys. Okay, this we have our first sprue here, and as you can see, it has these road wheels. These are, and of course, the 2 pieces of the bottom hull plus the top, and these are the rubber road wheels. So the initial and early versions would have rubber. Now, a side note here that I do got to speak about with this plastic. This is ABS plastic. So like, again, that sort of weird styrofoam recycled plastic. So I'm going to have to use super glue on this. But yeah, if you're doing a lot of Rubicon model stuff or scale hobbying, you'll have that glue already. But if you're a like historical war game or Warhammer sort of, you know, player, you won't. So that's a little tip there, just a heads up. And on the back of the Rubicon boxes, because some of these plastic kits are model, like scale model gaming plastic, they will they'll be fine. But yeah, take a look on the back of the Rubicon boxes. They'll all have this. I know it's kind of blurry, so it's hard for you to see, but in this yellow color here, it'll have the warning. And if it's not there, the other way to check it, after you buy it, or if they're willing to open it for you to check and then reseal it themselves or whatever, on the instruction manual in red, it will also say this requires red or blue. It'll say it requires ABS plastic glue. But anyways, So yeah, so this is the early war version. Now, if you're doing the initial version, early war, and you're, say, doing the Western Front, there's road wheels that you glue in that kind of turn this into it. So there's a little bit of manual road wheel laying out, but also not as bad as an actual scale model. The only difference is you can add a road wheel here or whatever, the interlaying. Now, if you're doing this as the winter, you would leave this front one off because that helped with mud and snow not getting stuck. So keep this part open between the sprocket and the first road wheel. If you're doing the desert or, you know, Eastern Front, then you'd put that wheel on. But it's up to you. So, and then of course the hull. On the next sprue we have is our first pieces here. We have the steel road wheels. As you can see here, they have all the rivets and stuff. So this is your end of mid and late versions of the Tiger. So this is going to be like Normandy and stuff. We have the side skirt armor here. Really nicely detailed, actually. You got your tow cable pre-molded in. We have our turret tops, so we have our two different versions. They're slightly different. I can't quite remember how to tell the difference, but I think this is the... So this one is mid, I believe, because it has the rounded edges. And then this is the late because they just square cut. And of course the different headlights here. In the initial version, you can even make the initial like test ground / approved version, which had two headlights, or the single headlights. Next off you have is this sprue, which as you can see has the back of it a whole piece of some rubber road wheels for you to build up, sprockets to make it look 3D, smoke launchers for later versions / itself, the back bustle / counterweight, the place that holds the gun, your different hatches depending on which versions, the around the hull. There's some holes to drill in the hull of the turret if you're building things. Then we have spare tracks, a hull MMG, and more sort of like knickknacks and stuff to glue onto the hull and around there. And we have this sprue here, which has the other wheels. So the back part of the wheels for each, the steel wheels, and the air filter system for if you're doing the desert, along with the early / initial top there. And as you can see, the cupola doesn't have the binocular, the vision slot things. It's just the ring to hop in and out. So, and of course the covers for the smokes. So yeah. So feel free to kind of mix and match how you guys want. If you don't really care truly about historicalness, you can just mix the road wheels, mix the turret tops. If you don't glue them down, you could have all the turret tops pop in and out. Now I don't know if you can give the turret tops all the doors, or if they share. I think they share, but it's up to you. The person that has asked me to show this off has asked that I build it with the smoke system, or the filter system. So I'm going to build it as the initial version because I don't see any other of those models out there. So we're going to build it as test ground version. And here you go, guys. We have the tanks all finished with a side one here as a sort of like showing you, references to scaling. So in the middle we have the Rubicon tank, built in the initial production line version. It does not come with a tank commander unless in the core box. Again, watch my video. I'll probably have it somewhere up here if I didn't have it earlier, or in the description below about Rubicon stuff. But in this I'll call it a core version of the box set, it didn't come with one. So I just used a commander that had goggles on their head to glue in there because he is most likely going to be using these for like his desert Africa core stuff. So this one is built to be the desert themed one, and then this one is built to be the you know, if he wants to do European and stuff like that for tank wars or Octon Panzer. So to go over things here, ignore the squeaky sounds and chairs and stuff. It's late, I'm tired, I'm sore. I'm going to bed right after this, but anyways. So let's get right into it. So starting off here, we'll move the Firefly out of the way so you guys can get a direct one-to-one comparison here as I zoom in. We have the two tanks here, the Rubicon and the Warlord. So looking side by side, they're about the same lengthwise. I'd say the Rubicon's a little bit longer in the back. Here's the side profiles. Here we go, we have them in the side profile. As you can see, the Rubicon. It's weird, kind of, like the Rubicon's a little tiny bit wider, I believe. And in the back, they're technically the same length here, like from edge to edge here, like length. But the Warlord one is slightly taller up, like the angle that goes up is more. The guard plates here, as you can see on the back here, the plates are a little bit higher up than the Rubicon on the Warlord. The Warlord one's a little taller. The pipes have a little bit more detail on the Rubicon, same with the back. Now the major difference between these two is that the Warlord one has the Zemeret on the on the hulls and stuff there. So if you want that, you can have that on there. Same with their Panthers, they make it. Whereas on the Rubicon here, it's the original smooth, but you can easily make your own Zemeret and stuff. The Rubicon one is definitely more detailed than the little details in the hull and the parts and stuff. So there is that. Again, Rubicon is more of a scale model meets wargaming piece. So it is definitely more detailed. Whereas the Warlord one still looks just as great. There's some, and the nice part is between these two, there is parts of these where one model might be more detailed on it than the other. So like on the top hull here, the Warlord one definitely has the like tow cables and the tools and all that stuff, and the vents have holes in them and things like that. It's definitely a lot more detailed in that sense. But whereas on the Rubicon one here, the wheels and stuff, because you have to manually put in this version of the road wheels at least, in the back here and the sides are detailed, are like heavily detailed for its version. So look at these two going about that detail, kind of work on this. It's late, trying to word. Both models are, I'd say, equal to or better quality depending on the version you're looking at. The Rubicon, definitely, if you love to build, is your better choice because it's going to be a little bit longer. You're going to have a lot more fun with that. But having that like war gamer plastic, where you can just use basic plastic glue and ease of getting, at least where I live, the Warlord Games Tiger is actually going to be my favorite just because it has that Zemeret on it. If you can get Rubicon, you can get this. But again, this might be the one case of Rubicon where I say either or is fine, and I might even reference it, the Warlord Games one over the Rubicon, though, because the Rubicon, the top deck feels more, at least on this model, more blended in. It's like looking at chocolate from a mold, whereas the Warlord Games one is very protruded. It's very like they sunk it in some more, so it actually has more detail. So I do actually quite like the Warlord, and the wheels are basically together. There was no little wheel fumbling. So I think I like this Tiger better than I did the Rubicon. But for what you get in the Rubicon for its price, and you can make all versions in plastic, unlike Warlord where they make earlier versions in resin. Definitely going with the Rubicon if you want those early modes and not in Tamiya. And yeah, so all in all, in the end, between these two, it comes down to, do you want late war dedicated Tiger E, or do you want customizable customizable hobby building Tiger? Which then you go, and even then you can skip the longer build and just say, do you want alternate versions of the Tiger and stuff like that. Looking at that, that's those two, and then you put it next to another Warlord. It's basically its competitor on the Allied side. This is the Firefly from Warlord Games. As you can see, it scales quite well to Warlord Games. The reason why this is shiny is because I did some texturing effect on it, which, if you guys want a quick tip, you want to make something look cast iron but you don't have like you know, wall filler and stuff. If you're in a well ventilated room, only do this if you're ventilated and you know you're not, you know, sensitive to fumes. What you can do is you can apply it, and you have a brush on plastic glue, a brush on and do this in small sections. Brush on a thin layer of the plastic glue, let it dry a bit, and then stipple it with the brush of the plastic glue. So you're like poking it with the bristles. So you're not pushing the bristles flat, you're just stabbing it with the edge, like the tips of the bristle. And what that will do is it'll push into the soft plastic, and when you pop it out, it'll make little like dents and dimples and bumps in the plastic. And when it dries, you might not be able to quite see it, or somewhat feel it, but when you spray your primer on, you will see and feel, especially if you do it right or you poke pretty hard like you have stiff bristles, you'll feel that bumpy texture of cast iron. And that's what I'm doing with all my Octon Shermans that I got, so as you can see on there. But yeah, so this is a quick little side-by-side of a Warlord version. Okay guys, this has been the review of in comparison of the Rubicon and Warlord Games Tiger Os E. If you guys have any questions, comments, or you want to know some rulings down below, please let me know. With that, we're going to get into, you end it here, but we're going to get into the rules section of this video now. It's going to be an extra minute or two, something special, so for those who decided to stay this long, look at my statistics, no one gets this far, so I'm shouting into the void. But anyways, as you can see, medium and late war. This has 2 MMGs, coaxial hull. It has a super heavy anti-tank gun, and it has Tiger Fear. So how I would run this thing is, and it's a heavy tank, DV10. How I would run this thing is only run it if you're doing about a 2,000 point game, or even a 1,500 and you're running an elite army. So doing it that way, you know, having that super heavy anti-tank gun is going to be sick at that 84-inch range. So how I would run this if you took this, no matter what, if you're doing a horde or veteran list, is I would have this thing go around in behind buildings and stuff, act as a distraction noodle with some infantry support or a artillery piece backing it up. You don't want to push it until you know for sure you've taken out their unit with your infantry or your other vehicle, of like their tank or their anti-tank team that could potentially punch this thing. Once you have taken that out with another unit and you've used this as a distraction so that they're planking your front, you can rush this thing in as your main line defense, keeping that front and side even to your opponent to act like mobile cover for your the rest of your army, basically using this as a heavy spearhead. But until then, what I would do is I would keep this thing back, keep them behind those buildings, and use that gun like a Pack 88 or a Flak 88, whatever, and just use it like a 360 gun platform, planking their heavy armor until it's safe for the Tiger to basically just run up unopposed. And because you're that DV10 and you have that Tiger Fear, basically anything that isn't a heavy anti-tank gun or even a medium hitting you from the side or rear, even if it's the side, it's still going to be like you're going to have a little bit of a better time surviving. But that definitely that front armor, if you take away of their heavy or super heavy anti-tank gun or their, you know, bomb squads or suicide bombers, bazookas, Panzer Shreks, you can freely just drive up and just wreck, make their infantry and teams run away. Their tanks can't hurt you. You just keep popping their tanks, and you'll basically win the game with that. But again, because of that winning the game and having to basically sit back for the first couple of turns to act as a mobile flak 88, this tank is very swingy for its point cost, and it's either going to act as a glorified distraction noodle that maybe takes out a vehicle, or it's going to be a nightmare that rules the table and even can crush buildings that teams have been basically. But basically, if you've had an annoying couple of enemy infantry teams or snipers in a building that has just been there and you can't get them out, this thing can just run into the building and potentially crumble it down on them. So keep that in mind. So overall, in my end, would I recommend a Tiger for play? I would, yes. In TLDR, recommend a Tiger for big games. Just for collection purposes also, I also recommend having a Tiger. Anybody who plays Axis, including the Japanese, should have a Tiger, just for the cool factor alone. But yeah, it's definitely something worth trying. You're playing that big 1,500 to 2,000 point game, definitely try the Tiger at least once. But besides that, you can easily replace this thing with a Panther or even a Panzer IV, because it has the heavy anti-tank gun for being a medium tank, and it's way cheaper points than this thing. So I would run it that way. So yeah. Besides that, guys, this has been the extra section of this video, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. Click the video. Click it. Click the video. You know you want to.